So you say, my roommate just started this exact door-to-door sales job this week. What should I tell him about this? Well, I'm gonna make the assumption, and I may be wrong here, but that was probably one of those things where it was one of the most available jobs in the area, and maybe they had prior sales experience. I don't know, but it's like any other sales position, which is that you have to find if you can do it, and then if you're comfortable doing it, because there's always a bit of dishonesty in sales. I don't care what any salesperson says. There's always some dishonesty. If there's a pitch where you're doing door-to-door sales or you're doing auto sales, there's always some dishonesty. I worked for a major auto dealer in the city I'm in Colorado, and there were really just two camps of salespeople. There were the first camp that could do it. They were fine with it. They had no problem lying to the customer, and if they could get a sucker in there to buy a car for more than it was worth, they felt that they had done a good job. And you have the other camp that they don't have the stomach for it. When they realize there's a lot of lies, when they know the internal portion, they don't like it. I'm sure that's the same with the solar portion, but my advice for anybody that's getting into that is if they don't know, look into the actual costs. Really start asking questions like, how does this solar business make money? Because there's no reality where the solar companies are making money off the installs without essentially taking a person's tax credit for that, right? So like, yeah, you're going to get a tax credit yourself as the homeowner. I know this because I've looked into it and I've been sold to numerous times by these salespeople from different companies. I've let them talk and do their spiel. And what I find is when you ask them questions, they tend to get hesitant to answer about the financial portion of it. So this could be a great opportunity for your roommate to really understand how all that works and become aware of it. But as I put in the original video, that industry is going to, it's failing because of these practices, and people are just not able to sustain it. There also is a lack of customer base. Like, even with the tax credit, I can't afford to have a second mortgage on my property to pay for solar panels, so I'm going to have to replace. Somebody else commented in that video, and they were talking about how they only pay $8 a month for electric, but they don't seem to understand how the math works on that. Some people don't understand the hidden costs and everything in the background, what it's costing them. A lot of these salespeople will lie to you. They will flat out lie to you. And an example is the number one phrase they use. If anybody watching this, tell me if you've heard this and how many times. Every salesperson I've talked to has always started off with, how much do you pay for electric, and how would you like the electric company to pay you? It's a lie. You're going to get kind of paid. If it doesn't break even at the cost of the solar stuff, what's going to end up happening is the cities and sometimes states set the rates that they're going to pay you for electric that you're providing back to the grid. That's if your house is even in an area that's going to be able to supply that much. Now, we get a lot more sunshine than a lot of places here in Colorado, but a lot of people are not making that. So, like I said, the person that commented mine, they only pay $8 a month on their utilities. That's great, but that number sounds off to me. In addition to that, they're not making any money. I don't know many people that report they're making money off their solar. Now, some people do. It depends on your setup, how much electric you're using. But I believe studies were talking about how the average household, it doesn't make sense for them to do this. Because of the cost of the solar that you're not seeing right away, the second mortgage on your property, which also makes selling your property very difficult if you're trying to sell it. There's just so many issues. So, in a nutshell, have your roommate look into the ins and outs of it. Start asking questions since you work internal. They're more likely, when you work for these companies, they're more likely to tell you those secrets so you can be a better salesperson, or to tell you those deceptive things to be a better salesperson. But if you start fact checking those things, they completely are untrue. So hopefully it wasn't a situation where that was just the only job available, because the turnover on those jobs is high too, because they want you to sell. Nobody likes door-to-door sales, so you're automatically getting a job when you're one of the most hated people around. Nobody likes being bugged. I don't. Occasionally I'll listen to these guys and it's the same lie each time, and I turn them away. I've had people do door-to-door sales for roofing, do door-to-door sales for solar, of course, tree trimmings, everything. Door-to-door sales needs to be outlawed and should be gone, and I'm sorry, but that's where it should be. Anyway, I don't want to make this too long, but hopefully that helps. If you have any additional questions, let me know.